What's going on, Braeden V Live?
What's going on? Select the Chevron.
Oh, it's good, Braeden.
How you doing, my man?
I'm good.
What's
I'm
going
good. Just chilling, working on a bunch of projects. You know,
That's good, my man.
Yeah.
Tell us about the projects.
Oh man, I got a lot. So I'm working on my new EP.
Come up a little closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not good at this podcast mic thing. I'm used to like the
It's all right.
freestyle. Just say it out loud.
You can always adjust the arm there too.
Yeah, it's all right. We good like this. Yeah, I'm working on this new EP, like 5-6 new songs. Got a couple already ready, but a lot of the other ones are just in that like late phase of writing, where it's like a lot of rewriting and editing and kind of fine tuning.
The least fun.
Yeah,
phase
yeah,
of
more or less.
I know, bro. I hate that.
Yeah,
For real,
yeah.
though.
Well, that part's like one of the more stressful parts of it because it's always like a lot of second guesswork in that point too,
Yeah,
right?
it's perfecting everything.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm kind of on that phase right now. Still doing like artwork and stuff like that. Kind of coming up with some music video ideas, maybe. Trying to find out if I want any more features on it, that kind of thing. But it's getting close. I'm hoping to release it like June, like you know what I mean, around there.
That's
So
dope.
it's coming. But then like I got a bunch of shit going on before then. Mad Child show in April. I just
Yeah,
got
bro.
signed on
Hey.
for that. Shout out to Mad Child, yeah, and Robbie G.
That's dope, man. I think SNK is gonna be on that one too.
Yeah. Oh, dope. That's awesome. Here. Yeah,
real?
yeah. I haven't heard anything about the other openers, so I was curious who was going to
Yeah,
be
man.
on there. I figured it. There's a couple of people I had thought that it might
Yeah.
be, but that's cool at SNK.
I'm looking for that one.
SNK is the right demographic, like audience for
Perfect.
it and stuff too.
Perfect.
Like I actually don't fit in as well on Mad Child stage
Yeah.
as SNK would. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
My music's so much more
For
like
real.
clean cut. You know? What I
Yeah,
mean?
they're
There's a
all-
big difference.
yeah.
In
And,
my music and then SNK's, and then Mad Child's even more extreme. I'd say,
Yeah,
than-
for
than
real though.
SNK's, right?
That's on
Yeah.
422, right?
420 show.
Man.
Yeah, so that'll be fun at UPI.
They promote that right. That's gonna be bumping.
Yeah, so that should be fun.
real.
And then March we got 2 shows, the Music PI Showcase, which should be really fun. Hopefully I'll win a Music PI award or 2 or maybe
Yeah, man.
3. We'll see about that.
Which awards were you nominated for?
So I got Digital Presence of the Year for just the online hustling essentially, right? And then Rap and Hip Hop Recording of the Year and R&B Soul Recording of the Year.
That's dope.
Awesome,
That was for Bye Bye.
It was for the Trendsetter EP, so that was like
Oh.
so the R&B song would have been like Nothing Left or Everything Is Fine,
Okay,
one
yeah.
of those two.
Yeah.
They didn't specifically say necessarily
Yeah.
which song it was, but it's just part of that Trendsetter EP that got nominated, which I
I
guess
got
is
you.
like half rap, half R&B kind of sounds or whatever on the record.
Yep.
So yeah, I got those shows. Oops, sorry, I keep tapping this thing.
No,
I
it's all
got
good.
those shows coming up. Trying to think. I'm on the radio tomorrow. Actually, I'm on CBC
Holy
Main
smokes.
Street.
Damn, man.
Oh, yeah, with Mike.
Congratulations.
Yeah, with Matt Rainey. Yeah,
Hey,
so
let
that'd
it
be
go.
cool. Yeah,
Good
so
stuff.
We'll talk a bit about same stuff. You know what I mean? What I'm working on, stuff like that. Just what's going down the pipeline, and like some of the stuff we've been up to in the last year because it's been a busy year since like 2022.
For
We've
real,
been
though.
fucking grinding. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
guys
man.
too. Like you guys been putting in a lot of work.
For real.
I've been putting in a lot of work. I know a lot of people in the scene have really like leveled up last year. You know what I mean?
100%.
So looking forward to just like what the next step is this year is like level up again somehow.
A lot of
Might-
people.
you know.
Sorry, I
No,
didn't
no,
mean to
that's
cut
cool.
off.
Yeah.
I was gonna say a lot of people leveled up. A lot of people fell off too.
For sure, bro.
A lot
For sure.
of-
a lot of
yeah.
people took a bit of a lazy step this year,
100%.
or maybe didn't release some of their best work, which just creates opportunities for other people.
For real.
You know what I mean? Like if they're not performing as much, that means those slots open up for others. If they're not releasing, maybe other people are going to get some of that promotion or some of those opportunities.
For real, man.
So it's a good thing. Like people always go through peaks and valleys. So maybe like last year you're really popping, you drop an album or whatever, and then you might need 6 months to recharge or
Yep.
some time off to just live life and get some new inspiration or whatever. So it's not necessarily like a reflection on them necessarily badly or whatever, but you don't want somebody to fall off and never come back. You want them to fall off maybe for a bit, disappear for a while, come back with something new and cool.
It's about about instead of not being mysterious but having mystique.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's a good way of doing it.
And
Yeah, yeah.
that's the hard thing about music too, is that for like most of creators, like you need to like be releasing a song every 2 to 3 months, be on social media at least once a week, like just like constant.
Yeah.
And if you take like a few weeks not doing it or a month, then you just see the algorithm just like forget about you.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotta stay relevant in some way.
yeah.
And that's not even to get ahead. That's just to remind people.
to keep up. Yeah, for real,
Exactly.
to keep up, and even just start the growth kind of thing. Yeah.
For real.
There's a lot going on social media, and it's a lot of noise you got to break through, especially
For
in
real.
music these days. People making so much music, and like I said, too, it's so easy to make music. That's what makes it so saturated. But it's the authenticity and the relatability and just
Yeah.
being true to yourself that really pushes you through all that noise. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
For real.
For real.
That's
Yeah.
something that stands out about you too, is that I don't think you really try to be anybody else.
No, I couldn't. It wouldn't come off right if I
No.
tried to. You know what I mean?
Not
Like
at all.
even like talking about SNK and his style. If I came up trying to rap like him,
No, it wouldn't
everybody'd be like, "Look at this guy!" Like, what's he
Yeah.
doing? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work. SNK, credit to him, has at least a look and like it suits who he is. If
Yeah.
I tried even doing his style or like, I mean, geez, there's so many subgenres of hip hop. if I tried to just be a bars rapper, I'm not really a bars guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like a melodic guy. So for me to try and force that, it's not exactly going to come off as clean as maybe somebody who's like came up that way or whatever, right? And that's not to say you shouldn't like try and get better at the things you're maybe not as great at, or not try and find ways to grow or whatever. But
You got to be yourself.
yeah, exactly. And for me, like number one intent when I started was in music was like don't create music that's going to get me into rooms I shouldn't be in. You know what I mean? Like the whole idea, like I don't want to be rapping about guns and stuff and then find myself in a room of dudes with guns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? Because like, look at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's, you know.
Or even getting on a Spotify playlist that you don't want to be on.
Exactly.
Or getting on.
That's right. It's like there's small like microcosms of that and the big ones too, right?
Yeah.
Obviously saying like the room with a bunch of dudes with guns, it's like an exaggeration.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
That's like the extreme. But
Yeah.
you're right. Even just for discoverability, you need to be put in the right places. Otherwise, people are going to hear your shit and go like, that's not what I'm looking for.
real.
Even within rap, right?
Yeah.
Some people hear my stuff and go, that guy's not a rapper. And truth is like, they're kind of right. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm more of a singer rapper thing, like a hybrid. You know what I
I'm
mean?
a
I don't
thing.
even, I don't even know how to describe it, right? So
For
it's
real.
like, so some people, they're looking for other things, especially like I said, in hip hop, where there's like all these little subgenres and niches, and what people consider hard or, dope or whatever is so varied, right? So for me, it's always just like, don't make something that I can't be, first of all, like comfortable performing in any environment or any room, because, you don't want to look stupid or sound stupid around the wrong people and stuff. But also, like you said, just being true to yourself. I don't want to look back in 10 years and go like, I was putting on a face that whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that'd be silly, because you don't want to live that life for forever. You know what I mean? You want to get stuck in that character or something, right? That'd be silly.
So when you say true to yourself, who is Braeden V, mind, body, and spirit, authentically?
Oh, it's a great question. And not one I think of very often. So that's an interesting one. I would say like Braeden V as a person, or like, and as a musical person, I would say like motivational figure. Like I want to inspire people, or I want to like remind them of what's important, or like help push them in the right direction in life. You know what I mean? When people listen to my music, I want them to feel those positive traits. I don't want them to, even if it's a sad song, you know what I mean? Like there's plenty of sad music that I make. I make a lot of sad boy rap. Which I love doing, because like I've gone through shit in my life. Everybody's gone through shit in their life, and it's important to have music that people can relate to, right? On that personal level, where they go like, oh, that person struggled too. You know what I mean? And that's important. So for me, it's like just sharing that stuff. I've gone through some shit in life. Everybody has. And for me, it's just like, we're together in this, you know what I mean? Everybody's together in this. So music for me is a way of like sharing that and bringing people together under like we're all here together. We're all okay. And whatever we've been through, that's fine. Like we're going to keep going. So for me, it's about being like a light, you know what I mean? And sharing that light with others, I think. And
It's a great answer.
thank you. Yeah. I
I
tried.
was about, yeah.
It's interesting because that's what we've been having a lot of conversations about, is that like I find that the biggest thing holding me back with music is having a full understanding of myself, and that's
Right.
a very hard thing to have.
Right. Well, especially when you're young too. I mean,
Yeah,
it took
exactly.
a long time for me to even be comfortable enough to start making music. Because I was too worried about like how people would. I mean, we were talking about a buddy of yours earlier there, right? You said like he might not be, maybe his parents don't like him being a rapper
Yeah.
or whatever. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. It's an interesting thing, right? You got to figure out like, what direction do I want to take this? Because you can take it anywhere you want.
For real.
For you, it's about kind of narrowing down what makes you happy in life and what you want to pursue. Do you want to pursue a style of music that, maybe 10 years from now you'll regret making? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you got to always try and make sure, like whenever I'm making any track, I always go by Rick Rubin's thing. In 10 years from now, do you think you'll be proud of this?
For
you know
real.
what I mean? So for me, I'm always trying to look like down that long road. Like, will this song, it doesn't necessarily have to stand up to the test of time. Only time will tell that anyway. But it has to feel to me like, oh yeah, I will still feel this music in the future. You know what I mean? It's not just right now. And then 10 years from now, I go, oh, that was a phase. You know what I
So
mean?
do you think you see yourself doing music for the rest of your life? Is it?
Yeah, for
That's
real.
all.
And even if I'm not making the music myself, I'll be producing people or coaching artists or whatever I might do. I've got a lot of skills that can help others to succeed.
For sure.
And I'm also a little bit late in the game. I'm a bit older, so I have to have realistic expectations and go like, all right, maybe there will be a point where I'm not as marketable. Good looks fade. You know what I mean? Energy levels change. Maybe I won't want to tour someday or perform live as much, whatever it might be. Point being, like, I always want to have a way that I can be in music, helping others level up, whatever it might be. So yeah, 100% making music. I decided from day one, if I'm not going to make a penny doing this, I'm doing it anyway. And that's really important for independent artists to decide really early on. You know what I mean? Because you never know. Like the artist is always the last person to get paid, right? So
I like that.
Yeah.
It was funny. You mentioned something about how you know, we come into this music thing and we can like make our own rules. And I heard one quote the other day that reminded me of that, of how artists will come in and be, okay, I'm going to be a musician, and the musicians go by these rules and they use this process to make this kind of music, and they do this, and then they get in it and they realize it's a fun house.
Right.
There's no rules at all.
Yeah,
like there's
right,
dudes who get famous. You can get famous by playing Minecraft as a rapper, or get famous from a weed brand or something like that.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah.
And nowadays it's so much, you can't just like sit in your crib and make music and then just like release it like when the album's done. Like it's like there's got to be other things around you.
Yeah.
Take me through your process of making a song. Where does it start with you?
For me, usually it starts with beat before lyrics. A lot of people are like, you know, both together or whatever, and that's probably ideal, is to write them both kind of cohesively. But for my process, for the most part, where I'm at, I start with like working with a producer or making a beat on my own, and then from there just building on it. Like start with like, how does it feel? Is it sad, happy, fast, slow, all that stuff? You know what I mean? Go through the checklist. What mood do I want it to feel like? Usually I start from a step of like, where am I feeling right now? What do I want to kind of like talk about? What I want to express? What ideas do I have? Are there any cool lyrics I wrote a week ago that I can maybe right now put into this piece that I'm creating or whatever? Step one always is the music. Beat selection, you know what I mean? Like for my music, one of the compliments I tend to get is that the beat selection is good. And for me, that's like one of the first steps.
Yeah,
like,
really good
production.
production.
Not fucking hard. Yeah, if the beat's not like, if I'm not like, hell yeah, this beat is dope, I'm not even gonna touch it, because I'll know my inspiration will probably fall off and the motivation to finish it will fall off. I got a bunch of songs that I wrote that the beat is just like so, and I don't know if those songs will ever get finished. You know what I mean? Just because I lose that.
You can always find a new beat for it too.
Well, that's true. And the truth is, as you level up your production and stuff, like I said, like the best way to do is cohesively, where you're working with a producer, or you are the producer in your guys' cases. You know, you're like working on the lyrics and the melody and the beat and all of it at the same time. That's probably the best way to really make it, you know, mesh.
I feel that.
For me, I'm kind of limited in my production. I just leveled up my rig actually, so I can produce again more on a higher level.
That's
so I'm
dope.
looking forward to that. But yeah, usually it's like beat, and then I'll start writing lyrics that are trying to like catch what that mood or atmosphere of that sound is. So obviously if it's like a melancholy beat or whatever, I'll try and write some sad lyrics, or something that I feel like fits more specifically into that like sub mood even. So there's like, you know, sad's pretty broad emotion. What like shard of sadness is it?
Yeah.
Is it like hopelessness? Is it, you know what I mean?
Despair.
Pain? Is it despair? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I really try and narrow down what that space is, and then get into that room, so to speak.
So the inspiration comes from the beat first.
For sure.
It's not like you get. Do you ever get the inspiration from something else in life and then go, oh, I'm gonna do something around that? Like, do you ever be like walking down the street like, oh, there's something? Then
sometimes. And I think like sampling's a big part of like if you sample, that's like a bigger part of your like, you know, thing. For me, I'm like a lyric writer for the most part. That's kind of like my main focus is my lyrics. So a lot of times it's in life, if I hear something or I say something myself, even I go like, that's kind of a good, cool line or whatever, right? I might try and take that or something. Like for the most part, my inspiration comes from like just like life experience though. So not so much maybe something that I see or whatever, like in the day to day, but like
something from your past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I tend to go to that a lot because, I don't know, there's something very like therapeutic about that for me too. Like I can kind of like sort through some stuff, or I can kind of work out some things, or like say some things about it on that subject or whatever.
It's like therapy.
Yeah, for real. And when I first started music, that's totally what it was. It was like 2020. I was sitting in my house in lockdown, and I was like, I've been putting this off for ages, and I got some shit I kind of want to talk about, because I don't know if 2020 was like this for you guys, but I felt so like pent up 2020, like I should be doing something, but they want me to sit in my house kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I had this weird like combination of emotions that was bugging me. And I started just writing some songs based on that. There was like, I wrote Patience back then, and that song was basically written at the time of, there was a bunch of rioting going on in the States. I can't remember exactly what it was about during 2020, all kinds of things, obviously. But I was like kind of writing it in response to that. Like I felt like I had to be doing stuff, but I was like stuck at home.
So you need patience.
It's like, yeah, exactly. So it was like this weird combination of emotions. So I was trying to write from that perspective. I'm trying to think like, most of the inspiration for sure comes from the past experience stuff though. And then like more recently though, like with Trendsetter, I was like writing about like where I was in life now. Like I felt like with writing Trendsetter, which just came out in November, for those who don't know, I felt like I'd been doing music for 2 years, and I felt like I have to kind of like make a statement of where I am now. You know what I mean? So maybe flex a little bit, talk about how I got here a little bit, maybe talk some shit, maybe a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, cause after 2 years of making music and performing with people and kind of, you know, understanding the politics and the social interactions that go along behind it, along with the business, I just felt like it was time for me to like show people who I am a bit more, you know what I mean? Because it's one thing to like write music about the past, but it's also something to write something for like, this is me now, you know what I mean? Like this is where I'm at in this moment in my evolution or whatever. So like it really depends, I guess, on the day, you know what I mean? Like I do a lot. I always try and with a new song or new project approach it from a different place too. So and that's to create variety, you know what I mean? Stuff. I don't want to do the same thing over and over and over, right?
Yeah, man. Always comes from different spots.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, so like Cam, you released your album. Congrats.
Yeah, man.
Congrats,
thank you, bro.
You know, I think I said it before, but congrats again. You know,
chasing after nothing.
Yeah, chasing after nothing. So like, what's like for the next couple of months? You guys are planning on promoting a bunch, I imagine, and trying to find ways to create content for it.
A few music videos. It's so funny when after I finish an album, I'm always like, all right, on to the next thing. But then I gotta like the business side of me's gotta be like, nah, man, you gotta, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it's there for people that want to see it, you know, and we're gonna keep going with more music. You know, there might be a deluxe on the way.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, there's like probably close to 10, 15 songs that I had to leave off the album. So you know,
that's good.
Some more stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, this summer we're gonna have some cool surprises. And that's what I'll say about that.
I'm looking forward to it. That sounds dope. Yeah,
man.
Well, a lot of people release the album, like you said, on to the next thing, and it's like you got to keep.
Yeah, bro.
You just created an album. You got to plug that shit.
For real, yeah,
like,
it's so true.
That's a lot of songs. You know what I mean?
Like Kendrick just released a music video like a month or two ago, and his album's been out since April.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, so it's like, like these big artists, like they'll promote their stuff for like years.
Yep, for real. Yeah. Well, if it's and if you really stand by the quality of music, like Kendrick worked on that album for how long, right?
Probably 5 years.
Yeah, like one of the philosophies I have is like, if it took you 6 months to build that record, you need to be spending 6 months on the other end to promote it. You know what I mean? And you can still be working on other stuff in there. You can still drop a single even in there if you want or whatever it might be. But you have to just be creating content around that, whatever it might be, clips of the songs, live performances, all that shit, music videos for real, like all that stuff. And the thing is, like with a music video these days, say your song's 3 minutes, you can clip that into 30 clips for short form content, right? So it's like one music video can do you a lot of that promotional work, a lot of that like workload can be just one video, you know what I mean?
For real.
So
or even something like this that we're doing, like we could get 30 pieces of content out of this.
100%, that's right. Yeah.
And I think another big mistake too is that people will think, oh, I want to promote this song, I want to promote this album, but really you're promoting yourself first.
Yeah, for real.
And the music is the way that you promote yourself.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, no, it's true. It's like the way I've been looking at it is it's not just like music, it's a lifestyle, right? Yeah. And that sounds kind of silly in a way sometimes, but it's true because like, well, I mean, look at you guys, you got the merch, right? Like you're living it literally. You're wearing your music in a way, you know what I mean? You're putting it online. You're creating all these things that aren't just songs, you know what I mean? And that's important too. Like these days, every artist has to be doing that. They don't all have to do a podcast per se, but you know what I mean? They all need to be creating different forms of ways for people to access them and then the music and all the stuff around that brand, whether it's clothing, whether it's shoes, whether it's whatever they're selling. You know what I mean? Cars. Some artists are hawking cars in their music video because they got a good sponsorship from a car company. You know what I mean? Like music is an amazing thing because you can it attaches to everything else in life. You know what I mean? Like everywhere you go, you can have music attached to whatever else it is that you're experiencing, right? Whether it's a sports game or it's a movie or it's a video game or it's any form of media, music's attached. You know what I mean? You walk down the street, you hear tiny bits of music. You're driving your car, you hear music. It attaches to everything else. So you have to find ways as an artist of like, where do I fit into this? If you love shoes, make some songs and reference some fucking sneakers once in a while in your music and then sell some sneakers. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like it's almost kind of stupid to say it that way, but like it's really that simple too.
It is.
You know what I mean?
And the thing is that with music, you're selling values. Like if somebody wears a Nirvana t-shirt, that's them saying, I align with these values that Nirvana stands for. Yeah. Or a Tupac shirt or whatever.
Yeah, it becomes an identifier and stuff. And you find your tribe that way or other people maybe that think like you. And that's what branding is. That's all branding, right?
For real.
100% branding. You're right.
Exactly, man.
Your brand values, what they stand for. Like you said, you're trying to figure out who you are, who's Cam. Your brand values will align with that.
Exactly, man.
Yeah,
and
for real.
Before you know who you are as an artist, you gotta know who you are as a person.
Yep.
And then, you can do all that.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. And
for real.
And then like, well, who am I trying to put this music towards? Who am I trying to sell this product to, quote unquote? Probably people like you. You know what I mean? Or people that are, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna find through your content what a lot of those people are like or whatever, you know what I mean? Whether it's through your insights, you got 1,000 people to watch your video, you're gonna find out 70% of them are women. Okay, maybe women like my music, right? And that's like the most base level of it is like, because, the first insights you see in a lot of times when you're scrolling through those things other than views is like gender, demographic for age and stuff like that. You find all that stuff out and then you get an idea of like, oh, okay, what kind of things are these people of this age group trying to buy? Well, these are some of the things that my brand might align with too, right? So there's like parallels you have to figure out where you fit in and stuff, right? That's why a lot of like hip hop music aligns with athletes and like sports and stuff like that, right? Because a lot of the music is that motivating, driving beats and stuff, workout stuff, fitness stuff. It makes sense that they kind of go together, right?
And it's young too.
Yeah, well, exactly.
It's also when you know about your audience, you know how you're going to promote your stuff. Like if you make music for 50-year-olds, don't be on TikTok.
Exactly.
But if you make music for 20-year-olds, you should be on TikTok.
For sure.
Or if you make music for 40-year-olds, maybe you should be on the radio, like stuff like that. Or you should be on TV. Yeah.
Yeah. Find the right platforms that suit what you're trying to put out. Because like, I could be on a big show tomorrow, but if the big show, like you say, is watched by older people, they're not going to listen to the hip hop song and go, oh, I love the song. What's the song, right? They're going to be like, the song sucks.
Yeah, for real, though.
Yeah, they're going to be like, what is this? So
like, who's this fucking kid, man?
Yeah, for real. So it's one of those things. You just music branding is like a frustrating thing because you don't want to build the music around it though too much. But and like as an artist, you have to stay true to yourself, like we talked about earlier. But at the same time, you have to find ways of like, well, I mean, I like Red Bull. You know what I mean? Red Bull's a good example. If I brand myself towards some Red Bull a little bit.
Shout out to Red Bull.
Shout out Red Bull.
Shout out Red Bull.
Shout out Red Bull.
Red Bull.
It'll give you wings.
But the point is, like, maybe I should be trying to sell my music to people who like Red Bull too, because maybe they're similar to me. Maybe they're a bit wired. Maybe they, you know, stay up late sometimes and they need that energy. You know what I mean? There's something to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's going to make you $1 million or not, who knows? And that's not necessarily.
Yeah,
the point,
it's like
though,
Snoop
too.
Dogg with the weed and Dre with the weed. Like they like push that weed thing so
real.
hard.
Stoner rap's a great like subculture, subgenre of hip hop in general because that's right. It's like the branding's all there. The lyrical content's pretty simple. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot to it. I almost consider that like one of the cheat codes in like if you want to get an audience, maybe do a weed rap song and then get in there with like a bunch of those weed branding things, whatever those might be. But I shouldn't call it a cheat code because it's not like a cheat code, but like weed rap or like,
it's smart.
You know, trying to think other
or
ones.
with country, it's beer, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, jeans or whatever. Yeah,
pickup trucks.
Yeah, exactly, right? Or if you're doing like heavy rock, maybe it's cocaine or something like that. Like whatever, you know, that might be a little bit less digestible for people, but you know what I mean, though. Like there's. Yeah, like with your vibe, there's stuff that goes with it, and then like if you have more of like a pure free vibe to your music, maybe you just are promoting sobriety and don't do any of that shit, right?
Yeah,
so like it's about your thing. Or even, did you hear Lil Yachty's new album?
I haven't heard it yet. I've heard only good things though. Psychedelic,
it's
like
literally like Pink Floyd shit.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Yeah, maybe tonight I'll pop that on. I've been seeing so many cool things about it. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Lil Yachty's super like, I mean. In the world of unique artists, there's like a couple that'll stand out as unique. Yachty's one of them for sure.
For real, man.
Uzi Vert's another one. Like just everything they do, you're like, where'd they get to this point? You know what I mean? Like it's
Yachty, in my opinion, kind of fell off after the first album, but like he really surprised me with this new one though. Because like I think because the reason why I'm going to this is I think that it's really smart what he did, where he kind of brought in the drug stuff into his music. Because I think that like the people that listen to Yachty are like similar people that listen to like Uzi and all this stuff, and like it's not necessarily that like you need to promote drugs, but he needs to have some sort of edge to him, because for a while I think it came out like a while ago that Yachty didn't even do anything. He just ate candy and shit.
Yeah,
so like he was losing his edge.
Yeah.
And then he did like the walk to Poland or whatever.
Right.
And then now this whole new thing, I guess he's like into DMT and shit. There's like a whole like psychedelic fucking
different. He's like time to start a new era or something. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like reinvented himself.
Exactly. Yeah, because before he was just kind of like, in my opinion at least, he was just like, oh, like generic rapper with orange hair. Like after, because he's got generic, right? Yeah. But then anyway, so that's a good example.
I feel that. No, yeah. Well, you know what, man? Like, and we've seen them. I'm not gonna name any names, but there's a lot of generic rappers. Generic, as in they like rap the way that they've heard people rap when they were coming up, and they wear the same clothing as the rappers that they like growing up, and that's fine. Like you can do that if you want, but for me, like I just don't feel that's the way to stand out. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to take the same lane everybody else is going in, because to me that's like. It's just like I don't need my hand held by whoever, you know, it was that, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to take my own path, and I'm going to dress my own way, and I'm going to sound my own sound. I don't need to like copy and paste, you know, 10 rappers on, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a fan of that kind of thing. Like I really want to hear new, unique, and like. Man, I'm really trying not to name any names because there's a couple of very generic rappers for sure. But you got to take different approaches for sure. And like doing that new, like that album style where he changes the sound up and brings new era, kind of like incorporating new shit. it's cool because it's a new direction, and his fans may not have expected it. I don't think anybody expected that album from him.
No.
So it's like good to step into new areas and go like, this is what we're doing now, and hopefully you're on board. You know what I mean? Drake tried it with his album earlier this year too, or sorry, late last year. And you know, not everybody was on board, but that's what we're on to right now. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't work, on to the next thing or whatever. You know what I mean? But you got to try those things, and that's like a successful example of it. Logic tried something a couple years ago.
Oh,
tried
it fucking
and it was the opposite, right?
It was ass.
Yeah, people
Supermarket?
really didn't dig it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, exactly. So it didn't work out as
For
well.
real, though.
So it's like, but you got to try these things to find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe he scratched an itch when he did that he was like really trying to get at, and it doesn't matter if people liked it or not. Maybe he was like satisfied.
Yeah, it was
with
just
it
for
or whatever.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good too. Like, and that's staying true to yourself, right? He has the money, he can afford to do it too, obviously.
Of course.
But
yeah, it's just like it's it's trying out different stuff. It's not just like, okay, that'd be so boring. Imagine making the same type of music for like 10 years straight, man.
for
Like,
real. Yeah.
and I feel like a lot of these artists, they're just so fucking sick of this shit. Like even like Drake, I feel like, I mean, I don't know what's in his head, but I feel like he probably wants to retire so bad though. Like,
think-
wouldn't you have to?
It's like that guy, it's almost like suffering from too much success. You know what I mean? Like he can barely try on a song, and I'm sure this has happened. He's barely tried on songs and they've been massive successes.
Exactly.
So at that point, it's almost like,
He doesn't give a fuck.
well, yeah, like I remember hearing Steve Martin had this problem once where he was getting on stage and people were just dying of laughter at every joke because he was Steve Martin and he's funny. You know what I mean? And he felt like he didn't know if he was actually funny anymore. So I wonder if Drake is at a point where he's like, is my music even that good anymore? Do I have to put that much effort into it like I did 10 years ago maybe?
Yeah.
When he was still hungry too. Like there's a difference in his comfort levels in life too. There's like, it's hard to, like you said, you're not in their head, obviously. You can only assume from what you're hearing and what they're, putting out into the world. But I do feel like there's maybe a stagnation involved for sure.
Yeah.
And I do think he tried something different with his more recent album there. Not the 21 Savage one. I can't remember what the name of it is. I'm sorry.
Honestly, never mind.
Sorry,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. I feel like he was trying something on it, but I feel like even the effort wasn't there enough. And I don't know. Like,
Holding me back.
See, like for me, that Honestly Nevermind album was the vintage Drake in terms of the message. Because I was listening to Drake from 07.
Yeah.
And I felt 07, 08
Some
Drake
vibes?
on
Oh, okay,
that.
interesting.
Yeah,
There you go.
honestly, in terms of just speaking about his emotions and his singing and all of that type of stuff. Yeah.
Right. See, for me, like my favorite Drake was like "What a Time to Be Alive." Like I guess that's like 2012, 13, 14, around there.
15, yeah, I think
15,
something like that.
yeah. There's like those just like warping sounds and like I don't know, it just makes me think of like nightclubs and shit. And
Yeah,
love
I
those,
feel
like some of
that.
the beats in there were so good. Future was on one in that. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of good like sounds and vibes in there that I dig. And I think everybody's got like different eras of Drake. I mean, it shows how prominent he is when there's like, he's got so many projects that are successful that most people can go like, oh yeah, that was the one I really dug.
Yeah,
you
for
know what I
real.
mean? Instead of being like, who's he? Or I've never heard a song by him. Almost everybody has. Like that's an incredible level of success.
Yeah,
You
he's
know
the
what I
most
mean?
successful rapper, 100%.
For real.
Some Michael Jackson type stuff.
Yeah,
I-
well, exactly. That's right. Yeah,
I'd
for
say
sure.
I like Honestly Nevermind. I just think that there's like over half the songs, I feel like he just freestyled them in one take.
Yeah.
Because he just does the same like Bonadina, Donani no, and he know. Like
Yeah.
it's like there's no way that somebody actually wrote this.
For me, I agree in that like the melodies maybe didn't feel like they were fleshed out enough. I also wonder, as a guy like myself, I came from singing. I wonder how limited he is as a singer and how much that affects it too. Not to say he's got a bad voice, like I don't think that, but
I think it was really
you know.
phoned in. It was just kind of like, yeah, I'll do one freestyle in there, engineer, fix it up.
it's possible, right? And it's hard to know. Like I would like to know what goes on behind the scenes for sure,
real.
because for me, it was just the production felt like it wasn't like I'm a big deep house tech music fan. For me, deep house and those chill beats and stuff, I love that shit. So when I heard his album, I was actually really excited for that style, just to be like, what's he gonna do with it? And I just felt like for a guy who's deep into that genre, I felt like it was a very like Passover version of that genre rather than going into that genre deep enough. You know what I mean? And like this is just personally like loving you know what I mean? Like I just felt like, oh man, if you're going to go into that place and have the longer songs with some more beat switches and transitions and different, like, you know what I mean? I just feel like just more. A lot of the instruments I felt like were purely digital too. And it's like, if you can have a live instrument, if you're Drake and you can afford to have a real guitarist come in and record that guitar track, you should probably do it. You know what I mean? Like for a guy like, for us, I mean, if you know guitars, it's one thing, but I can't afford to have a bunch of people come in and play real instruments on my record. but if I could, I totally would. For me, I go like, why is that a MIDI drum kit when it could be a real drum kit? Why is this acoustic guitar piece not a real acoustic guitar, and why is it like plugged in? Not that there's like a big difference anymore. I'm a digital music guy myself, so I'm not even really hating on that.
I know exactly what you mean.
But yeah, for me, I just go like, why not go that extra mile in every way if you can?
That was a critique I heard a lot about it, was that because I'm not in the space as much, but just that it was like he could have went to way more producers and stuff like that were more like in there rather than like it was probably just like a handful of producers that really worked on it. But like going back to what I said, like a lot of those songs, they felt really like whatever, here's a quick freestyle, do something with it.
The bed squeak sample was really rough. That I couldn't do. Everything, most of that album I don't mind. Like to me it's like kind of like I could listen to it, but I'm not like super vibing out to it. But like that one song, I can't remember what it's called, the bed squeak fucking sample, just I could not do it. I was like, there's no way people were listening to that for 3 minutes and going, this is the thing. Yeah, like I just couldn't picture myself in the studio going like, that's the sound. That's the fire. For real. Like I went, come on. I
wonder if that's like a subliminal, like in the club trying to get people to think about sex or something like that.
Maybe.
Like,
well, that's probably the thing. It's like, it's hard to know, right? Who knows? Maybe there's a lot more intention behind it than we think sometimes too. That's the weird part. It's hard to assume.
For real. I just want to go back to the point that I was making though, was that I feel like with Drake, it's really easy to tell whenever a song is like written either by him or somebody else, or if it's just like a quick freestyle. Like there was a few songs where it was just like the non-lyrics to like I know you know and I know, like, you know this. But then you'd have a song like Sticky where it's bars and it's actually like the energy is there and everything's good. Like if I'm with two of them, then it's a threesome. If she alone, you know, she a freak one. If it's an escort, it's a police one.
Yeah, that's
like
pretty
bars.
Well,
you know what I mean?
His wordplay, when he really puts in the effort, is top notch. That's why What a Time to Be Alive is my favorite, like one of my favorite eras for him, because it felt like every line had that intensity and that work put into it. Whereas I think, where you're getting at is it felt like, honestly, Nevermind, it was a little less of that like really fine tooth comb going over every lyric, double entendre, triple entendre. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just felt
fellas. I'd love to sit here and criticize Drake all night.
Let's move on a little
bit. We running a little short on time, and we'd more than likely have to wrap this up within the next 3 minutes or so.
All right, I want to ask you one more question.
Yeah, for sure.
Where do you think the music scene on PEI needs to do in order to evolve?
Well, I think to start, it is evolving a lot, and it has evolved since I started a lot. I think networking and understanding the importance of networking in a small space like ours is really crucial. And by that I mean every chance that you can support your homies' posts or their songs or whatever, you have to, because we're such a small pool compared to the bigger cities where they're going to have more just people, eyeballs, ears in the music in general.
For real.
When there's 30 people in your hip hop scene, all 30 of them need to be trying to work together to make it blow up, because the rising tide lifts all ships. Whereas when you're in that big pool, there's like, there's so much more, like I said, just in general, more people around.
More radio stations.
More opportunity. So for such a limited space and limited opportunity, we really need to work together to make sure that we can help each other out and grow that way, because otherwise it's pretty hard for it to level up, I think. So that'd be number one, is like just working together in collaboration. Not necessarily everybody makes songs together, but like if your homie posts, do your best to try and support it if you can, because it's going to make a difference
for real
in the long run. So that's one. Keep working on content. Like I think a lot of people take a bit of a lazy road to creating content. I think it's like, you guys are great about it. You guys do a lot of really good, consistent, unique, varied content. And that's the key, is like find 10 different ways that you like to create content, whether it's song snippets, live performance, like you name it, find ways and then keep putting it out there, because that's key too.
For real, man. You're killing that shit too, for real. You're an inspiration for me for keep going with that stuff, because like a lot of people, like you see a lot of guys who post once a month and are popping. So it's like, oh, well, but like it's true that you got to keep, you got to keep that content growing,
for real. Think of it like you're like mining. If you're trying to get gold, you're trying to mine for a gold record, you got to keep chipping away. You know what I mean? You're not going to swing once and smash that rock in half and find a huge gold nugget. Like it's not going to happen, right? You got to keep chipping away, keep building, keep digging that hole, and eventually you'll find nugget, and that'll add up over time. That's the whole idea.
For real though.
So the digital content's a big one though. That's for real.
Especially if you don't have like an actual marketing budget. Like you look at like, oh well, Playboy Cardi doesn't post. Yeah, well he gets $100K a month probably in his marketing budget.
Does, no joke. Yeah, for real. So just like number one, network. Number two, more content creation, and maybe the last one would be like, I don't know. I don't know what the next one would be.
Maybe more varied genres.
Yeah, for sure.
Music.
For sure.
Yeah, we definitely got to acknowledge more of the hip hop and newer genres. For
Yeah,
real.
I think that's a big thing for real. I think hip hop gets I don't know if it got a bad rep before I started making hip hop, or if it's always just been like, because PEI is kind of a little bit backwoods in that way, where it's like 10 years behind in some cases.
Yeah.
Maybe it's still catching up to hip hop, and that it's not all like negativity, or whatever the stereotype might be. I think, and I'm not going to try and like give myself too much credit, but I think guys like me who are making a bit of a cleaner style of rap might help in the sense that other genres go like, oh, okay, it's not, like certain things. And I'm not trying to like take credit. I'm one of those guys that makes pretty clean music, right? You know what I mean? So it's easy for me to go like, like I literally try to make radio friendly music.
Yeah.
So I think having people that are able to push into other genres and other spaces and go like, look, we're not all of what you guys assume maybe. I think that's important too.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to say some words if you want, Chev. You've been quiet for a little while.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm good, man. Just absorbing it all right now.
For real, though.
Yeah, and I got nothing much to say right now, man. It's been great.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, man,
Appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you guys. Thank you for coming on so much. My brain is turned off.
you.
Anyway, man.
Thank you.
Was a good one.
Shout out to you guys. I appreciate you having me. You guys are doing a lot of good work too. Like a lot of inspiring
Appreciate
stuff.
you.
Same likewise, bro. You have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.